Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining us as we celebrate International Women's Day and explore what it means to build a future where everyone has space to grow, lead, and make an impact. My name is Rhiannon Wicks, and I'm the coordinator for the Bolt Charitable Foundation and the moderator for today's event. Bolt is proud to host a special International Women's Day Speak Out event to encourage young women to enter the industry. The Bolt Foundation has a very simple but important mission to inspire the next generation of construction professionals here in the GTA. One way to do that is to ensure that young people have the information they need to choose a career that they are passionate about and can be successful in. This year's theme is Give to Gain, which encourages us to think about how giving, whether it's support, knowledge, opportunity, or encouragement, creates space for all of us to succeed. And today we're focusing on an industry that literally builds the world around us, construction. Construction is creative, it's high tech, it's collaborative, it needs planners, designers, problem solvers, leaders, and yes, women. Today we're lucky to hear from two women who are doing incredible work in a traditionally male-dominated field. They're here to share their stories, their challenges, their proudest moments, and their advice for you, the next generation who will shape what our cities and communities become. Before I introduce our panelists, I would like to let you know that we are going to be holding a poll throughout the discussion today. So I'm going to ask you the first question. So you'll see to the right of the viewing window, there's a polling tab to participate. So my first question for you today is, have you considered the trades as a long-term career path? So I'll give you a moment to answer that and find the polling window. And while you're doing that, I'll introduce our first panelist today. So Ananya Biswas is the National Marketing Manager for Metro Compactor Service. Ananya, I'd like to invite you to tell us a bit about yourself.
Thank you so much, Rhiannon. Hello, everybody. It's truly a privilege and an honor to be a panelist for this wonderful event that is being organized by Bolt. My sincere thanks to them for inviting me as a speaker for this event. I am a strategic marketing leader and I lead marketing operations for Metro Compactor Service, which is a coast-to-coast waste and recycling equipment service and equipment provider for the construction industry, especially new construction in the residential markets as well as the commercial sectors. We've worked very closely with several partners, and our company has some very strong female roots from the company founder's mother and father leaving, starting the operations 40 years ago. So I feel very privileged to be leading the marketing side of operations for Metro Compactor and sharing some insights with all of you today.
Amazing. Thank you, Ananya. And next, our panelist is Blessed Martels, who is an electrical apprentice with IBEW. And I'll let her introduce herself now.
Hi everyone, I'm Blessed Martels and I agree with Ananya. Thank you so much, Rhiannon, for allowing me to talk to all of you guys today. Um, my name is Blessed Martels and I'm an electrical apprentice and I've always loved working with my hands and being active, and in high school I realized electrical was for me. I took a co-op in grade 11 with Step to Construction, and it allowed me to try different trades. I worked at the Kennedy subway station and I got to meet so many different people. And since then, I've been continuously pushing myself to open new opportunities where I've worked with the Ontario Youth Apprenticeship Program, and I've also worked with the International Brotherhood of the Electrical Workers, the Pathways Program, which is a program specifically for women to help them enter the trades. And I'm excited to keep learning and contributing and helping open doors for the next generation.
That's amazing. Thank you, Blessed. So now I'd like to see the results of our poll. So let's take a look here. If I remember how to find it. There is. So it looks like a lot of you said yes. So yes, you have considered trades as a long-term career path. That's amazing. That's exactly what we want to hear because there's so much opportunity there. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn to our panel because they're the ones that have all the amazing things to say today and the people that you really want to hear from. So I'm going to ask them a question as posed to both. Ananya, we'll start with you. What first sparked your interest in construction, and when did you realize that this was the career path for you?
In my early years, I was first exposed to construction when I was working up in the northern oil sands in northern Alberta, north of Fort McMurray. I was a business development coordinator for a top tier construction firm, and through my role, I had the opportunity to also work on the Coral Oil Sands site project. The sheer scale, the coordination, and the intensity of the overall project to build something from the ground up was terribly fascinating for me. And I was instantly inspired by the opportunities it presented um, to the youth, to mid-level professionals, to anybody who really wanted to grow within the construction industry. And it wasn't necessarily focus just in the oil sands. Like, that is applicable to infrastructure development for all sorts of industries. So that was where I got the first taste of what the construction industry can kind of look like and the sheer scale of it. And yes, I was on the office side of things, so we worked inside trailers, but then I got the first-hand look at all the trades personnel who were on the floor. So minus 35, minus 36, plus 36. The weather component, the hard work, and the sheer skill that went into developing large, complex projects that truly hold a country's civilization, infrastructure development, and economic development was extremely eye-opening for me.
Wow. One thing I never could have done. And I always find it so incredible to hear people's journeys, especially when they're full of so much passion and sacrifice. So thank you, Ananya. Blessed, your turn.
As I was saying, I learned that I wanted to be into this career path by high school. Just I've always just loved working with my hands. It's always been something that my parents have pushed me for. Like, they wanted me to thrive and be successful in a career. So when I did co-op in grade 11 with the Step to Construction program, as I said, we were able to work with them for a whole semester and try different trades. And to continue my journey, I started working with the Black Student Achievement Center, and that was a job. And pretty much you become researchers, and that's when I started working with Bolt. And my goal was to figure out what barriers do Black women go through that stopped them from entering the trades. And through my research with Bolt and working with a whole bunch of different people in diverse backgrounds, it helped me learn more and helped me push to open more opportunities for younger women.
It's amazing. I, like Blessed mentioned, I had the honor of working with her for a summer and just an incredible human being, somebody who's truly, truly passionate. The amount of effort that you put into your career path is inspiring. So, which is why I begged you to be here with us today, because you're wonderful.
Thank you so much.
So now I'll move on to our next question. So, surrounding the theme Give to Gain. So this theme highlights how giving, whether time, knowledge, or support, creates opportunity. How has giving shaped your own career growth? And Ananya, I'm going to post that to you.
Thank you, Rhiannon. An incredibly close topic to my heart, incredibly important for young men and women to get that support from industry leaders or veterans or mentors who, want to help you take more control of your career path. Like Blessed mentioned, there's obviously the aspect of your own ambitions. You have to be a self-starter to kind of define where you want to go in your career, but then in stages of that path you need your support system that helps you achieve further knowledge or further insight into where you should really take your career. And one of the things that has kind of stayed with me is our company founder, Danny Mowdy, whenever I take mentorship sessions with him, he always says one thing, that Ananya, you can take your career as far, as rich as you want it to be. Your goal is the horizon. So you can take it as far as you want. You can close it off as soon as you want. So to the theme of give to gain, I've had incredible individuals throughout my career path who've imparted their wisdom to me, who've given me some insights. And we are on the topic of Women's Day. I've met some incredible women leaders. Just last week, I was at a waste management conference up in BC, and I met an incredible individual. Her name is Pinky Vargas. She works for Republic Services, and a trailblazer in the waste management industry, another very male dominated industry where there's not a lot of women in decision making positions. But at the same time, a lot of my career growth has come from men, really kind of identifying the potential and then guiding me in the right direction. One of my first mentors was Brian Meximitz at my last company. And um, the when you're in your early stages of your career, you need somebody to give you a structured approach as opposed to vague advice. So a lot of hand holding and taking that ownership that, okay, you know what, I really want to hone this talent, and I'm going to own this potential that I see, and I'm going to help them achieve their potential by being their mentor, guide, boss, manager, whatever, like one-on-one. And he was like the first mover shaker in my career in the construction space, and going from something as simple as like, you're going for a company visit, make sure you do this, make sure you portray your brand really well, make sure, like, so from a marketing lens, from a business development lens, from a professional lens. Like, I was in my super early 20s, full of enthusiasm, but I needed that guidance to channel that energy in the right way to portray my best self so that my qualities would shine. So to that point, give to gain, it doesn't necessarily have to be long hours. It doesn't have to be monetary support. Sometimes sometimes when people just take an interest in you because they understand your potential and they want to see you succeed is enough. That guidance means the world to people. I know it meant the world to me.
I love that. I think that's so amazing. And I love that you brought up sort of this structured approach to this like mentor of, and although a leader of yours as well, truly like mentored you in how you're in shaping your career, right?
Mhm.
And I find that it's so important, and like gender having nothing to do with that piece, right?
Correct.
That whether you're, a woman reporting to a male or a male reporting to a female, whatever, the dynamic, what's important there is that you have that mentor, you have that guidance, you have that structure for success, right?
And
And
from a lens, I'll just kind of, add to that, exactly to your point, Rhiannon, about that, looking past that gender lens. At the
mhm,
end of the day, really focusing on the merits of this individual. You're looking at the capability of the individual, and really kind of seeing that this is potential that we need to carve into a diamond, and just staying focused on that. I am by no means I'm saying that women have had it easy. If anything, I'm a big advocate that we have to jump extra hoops. We have to put in maybe, 30-40% extra work to find the opportunities that we want to achieve. It is harder, and I will vehemently debate with anybody who says it's not. But I think having men also advocate for us continues to break those barriers for us as women to get into those positions so that we don't get in our own way.
absolutely. And especially in a lot of these male-dominated industries like construction, chances are your mentor will likely be male to
Male,
start, right? And
exactly.
as women become more prevalent in the industry, and this is why we advocate strongly for women in the trades, so that you have that full, well-rounded approach to every task, right?
100%.
Everybody has strengths, everybody has weaknesses, everybody brings something to the table, right? So, Blessed, do you have anything that you want to comment on in terms of having a mentor in your field?
I feel like having a mentor is so important. for me, I wouldn't have got where I am without a mentor. I always have people advocating for me and trying to assist me, especially with me being young and the way the trades are is so, like so much older people, so it's kind of hard to like start by yourself. For me, I've had mentors just straight out of OYAP. After seeing my potential and my passion, they went looking for different jobs for me to do because they knew how serious I was about the trades. And with him being able to put me out there, he helped me to get into the IBEW Pathways program. And because of him, I was able to get my foot into the door. And it's a huge opportunity for me in the future and for my career. And now I'm currently waiting for a placement in the spring when the trades start to pick back up because of him, because he helped me and advocated for me. And that act of support completely changed my path and showed me how powerful it is to have someone believe in you.
I love that. And it's also, when somebody sees your potential and, like you said, advocates for you, right? A lot of that time with that mentorship piece comes like your deepest advocate, right? When somebody sees you, sees your potential, sees everything that you're made of, and just takes it home. So I love that. Before we ask our next question, I'm going to poll the audience again because I want to get you all thinking and moving and engaging with the conversation. My question is, do you have career advisors or mentors that that help you, whether you're in high school, whether you're in a career, whether you're, whatever stage of life you're in, before, during, after those stages, did anybody would advocate for you and mentor you throughout your pathway? So while we're waiting for those results to come in, I'm going to pose the next question to Blessed, because she is one of the most inspiring pre-apprentices that I've ever had the opportunity to work with.
Thank you so
So,
much.
can you share a time when someone gave to you through mentorship, opportunity, encouragement that changed your path? And I know we've touched on this a little bit. Do you want to dive into that a little bit deeper and sort of tell us your path?
Yeah, so all throughout my career going into being an electrician, I've always had people advocate for me and pushed for me. Even when people thought I couldn't do it, there was always people in my corner who supported me, like my mom and even teachers. There was a time, apart from my teacher who helped me get into the IBW's program, while I was doing OYAP in the beginning, there was one of my mentors, and they saw how driven I was, and they actually asked me to be a part of a panel for the Canadian trades. It was like an event, and I had to speak to young women, like middle school children, and basically explain my experience and teach them about the trades from my point of view. And from there, I really got to like speak to the girls personally after the panel, and a lot of them told me how I've changed their mindset on the trades and how they're going to try to join the programs, because in high school programs aren't really spoken about as much and they're not pushed as much as colleges and universities. So programs like pathways, oh yeah, step to construction, just go out there and do co-op and stuff. And I feel like that would really help you, and it would help you with connections as well. And for me personally, connections really helped develop my path and my career. So I suggest for everyone who's interested in it, talk to your guidance counselor or reach out to family.
That's amazing. I love that you're encouraging people to find those pathways, right? Because it's not always, sometimes you don't know where to start looking, right? Like, how do I go about the next step? And, we're in a digital age of we like to Google everything, but it's not going to give you all the right results, right? So, especially if you're a TDSB or TCDSB student, you have a guidance counselor who can help you. And if they don't have the answers, that's okay. They'll help you find them, right? So it's really important to advocate for yourself while also having somebody advocate for you, right? And Anya, do you have anything you want to add to that?
I You literally hit the nail on the head, Rhiannon, about advocating for oneself. that really kind of ties into, where you want to take your career. But at the same time, if you don't advocate for yourself, how are you going to attract these mentors, these guides, and explain to them that you are passionate about this, or, you're passionate about building a future in the trades? So extremely important. And, one thing, Blessed, you mentioned something about surrounding yourself with these individuals that support you, that see you, that believe in you. And as you grow up in the professional ladder, like one of the current themes is like your network is your net worth. It's a common saying across the board, and it's really true, and it happens at a very early age. Like when you speak about high school, you have to open your minds to knowledge. You have to open your minds to other career avenues, as opposed to, sticking to the ones that are more prevalent. So to your point, you took the initiative, you thought out of the box, you challenged the norm to find, by the way, a very lucrative career path in the skilled trades, like going by how Canada's economy is evolving and the needs for skilled workers. Canada is moving towards the avenue where we will need a lot more skilled trades workers to continue on our development path, right? So as much as, yes, traditional educational institutions are important, the skilled trades are a vital part of our industry that needs more attention, and that needs attention from young people who are considering professional paths. And the opportunities in skilled trades is endless. Yes, you want to start on the field, you build the skill really hard, but then if you join a bigger company, you can then evolve into more managerial positions. You can evolve into senior executive leadership positions. So you can still carve out the professional path. You don't always have to be on the field. But on the flip side of it is you can become an entrepreneur. You can become an independent contractor. Then you have a lot more control of your time and where you want to take your career. However, so the opportunities are really endless if you start thinking out of the box. And to that point, Blessed, I want to congratulate you for accessing these resources available to you, whether it's family, whether it's your career advisors. Not a lot of students do that. They go to school, they finish their classes, and you have to start thinking about your career early on. Like, I'm an international student from India. I came to Canada almost 19 years ago. I started giving my SATs at 14 years old. I wanted to go to America. I was very, very focused about where I wanted to take my life. So starting giving my SATs at 14, 15, yes, ultimately I landed in Canada, but that's where truly, you've got to start thinking about your life early on and not wait for things to happen. You've got to be strategic about your life, and ultimately it'll give you the results that you plan for.
I love that. Don't wait for things to happen.
Yep.
It's like that old saying, grab the bull by the horns and
Yes.
just like go with it, right? Like
Yes.
take control of your life and your pathway. You're never too young to start doing that. Right.
100%.
So the results of our poll are in, and honestly, I was thinking that it would be a little bit more divided, but everybody said no. They don't have a mentor or a career advisor. So if you leave here with anything today, it's our strong encouragement that you seek that mentorship piece, right? A mentor can even be like a friend. It can be just somebody who's able to help, again, advocate for you, help you find that information that you need. It's a teacher in another form. Right. So I went through this incredible mentorship program last year, and she was inspiring. And you're never too young or too old to start that journey.
Yeah.
Right. So, and the younger, the better. You start it now and you're just even more prepared. So, with that being said, I'm going to ask our next question. And Ananya, I'm going to pose it to you first. What do you feel you gain by giving back to the next generation, especially young women exploring trades or construction careers?
I feel a sense of purpose. And I want to take a moment to kind of talk about that, because you have your goals, you have your ambition, you've got your professional goals, you've got your personal goals, but life is not just about achieving the next goal. It's ultimately, what are you really giving back? So one of my lifelong passions has been to, eventually be able to open an organization that supports, young, ambitious girls who are like me, when they're 14, 15, 16, maybe, who are potentially struggling to take the next leap because of financial constraints, or they don't have the right guidance, or they don't have the right, sense of direction. I want to help those young women realize their potential. Because yes, I had a very supportive family, but it's hard when you don't have a boatload of cash sitting in your bank account. And then, you finish your school, and then you got student loans, and you're always like waiting for that next leap, but you're constantly bogged down by some of these constraints. Yes, you learn to deal with it. I think you become a great project manager. But, at the end of it, it's purpose. Like with my collaboration with Bolt, I've had the incredible honor and privilege to speak in person with a lot of young aspirants, to, be able to impart some of my life experiences to them, to potentially encourage them into, into maybe taking their professional growth a little bit more seriously, or start thinking out of the box. So what I gain from this, Rhiannon, is that even if I'm able to inspire one young student to, realize their potential, I think that makes it all worthwhile. That okay, somebody's on their path to be like they're this big ball of energy, enthusiasm, pure talent, but I help them kind of, take a direction that's gonna elevate them to the next level. So it gives me a sense of purpose.
I love that. I love that purpose was what you started with. And I think that that's incredibly important in a mentor, right? And giving back to the next generation of, in any career path. And obviously, we may be slightly biased to the construction industry because we're passionate about it. We know that there's lucrative careers out there. There's so
Yes.
many different pathways you can take into construction, right? So we are speaking from that lens. But there is purpose in giving back to the next generation. So, Blessed, do you have anything you want to comment on that?
Yes, I completely agree with you. I feel a sense of purpose as well, sharing my experiences and encouraging others and showing them that they belong in this industry reminds me of how far that I've come. And also just helping someone else find the opportunities that I was lucky to receive, whether it be like mentorship, guidance, or simply being an example for them, is empowering to me. It's inspiring to see other young women get excited about the trades and realize that they can also succeed in the field that's often male dominated. And for me, giving back is not just about helping others, it's also about building a community where everyone can grow, learn, and feel supported.
I love that. Building a community, and that's exactly what it is, right? We're all one community at the end of the day, right? So your address, your postal code, your school, wherever you fall within Toronto or the world, we are all one global community, and it's up to us to support each other, right? So
100%.
before we do the next question, I'm going to poll the audience again because I really like bugging people and I find it really important to engage in the conversation. So,
I
my
think they're
next,
dialed in.
yeah,
They're
I know,
they're
right?
they're in this.
We're into it. We're here for it. I know you're all excited. So, my question to you is again in that polling tab, how often do you hear about careers in the trades at school? So, and this is if you're not currently in school, before you left school, was it ever, and it can be rough estimates, 0 to 5, 5 to 10, 10 plus, there's a couple of options there. Um, and the reason we're asking this questions is because we are genuinely curious about how schools sort of present careers as a viable trade option, or as viable career option, right? So
Mhm.
we like to know these things. And while we're waiting for those results to come in, I'm going to pose a question to Blessed. And looking back at high school, because you're so fresh out of it, what do you wish you knew then about careers in construction that you know now?
For me personally, since I graduated just last year, my experience in high school, I knew a lot of things that other people didn't about trades and going into careers because of the people I surrounded myself with. And something that I feel like a lot of people should know is that once you graduate, the opportunities you get in high school aren't as easy to access. So I would say start thinking about what you want to do from now, because with me, I knew what I wanted to do early on, and once I realized electrical was for me, I pushed for it. I applied to programs, asked questions, and took every opportunity seriously, and that's really how I got my foot in the door. And if I didn't take advantage of those school opportunities when I had them, I wouldn't be where I am now. So looking back, I wish more students understood that high school is actually the best time to explore the trades. You have support, resources, and programs around you, and if you use them and stay focused, you can set yourself up early and move ahead faster in the industry.
I love that you said that. And I was literally just talking about this with my son the other day. The incredible resources that, and not just the TDSB, and obviously we have a TDSB focus being in the GTA, but the TCDSB, like basically all Ontario school boards, right, have incredible resources available to you. And it only starts with a conversation with a teacher or a guidance counselor or your vice principal or principal, and you say, hey, here's where I'm at. Here's what I think I need. Here's what I want to do. Whatever those questions are, you have these resources at your fingertips. Use them. That's what they're there for. And blessed, it's so incredible because Norbert and I were also talking about it the other day too. And it's just, there's really amazing programs that you can access that help, with the schisms, and you can, specialist high skills majors. You can um early on sort of streamline yourself for construction or tech or art or, all of these different career paths. Ananya, did you want to comment on that at all?
Yeah, it's incredible to hear Blessed's journey, and it's obvious that she stayed focused, she took control of what she wanted to do, and most importantly, I think the theme that came out of her inputs here is asking questions. And Rhiannon, this is something that you mentioned as well. There are a lot of resources that a lot of young students, professionals are unaware about. So it's really important to start thinking of, asking those questions. It could be a chain reaction. You could be asking one individual, they may not have the answer, but that question would spark an interest, and that will guide you to a path where you ultimately get your answers. And while you're going down that path, you may be exposed to other avenues that you had no prior knowledge about. So it's important to, again, I'm coming back to that, network is your net worth aspect. Like, surround yourselves with like-minded individuals, find those mentors, find those individuals who have potentially gone down that path. When we look up to celebrities, for example, like, why do we look up to them? What have they done in their lives that's inspirational? Could be anybody, could be in the arts, could be in sports, and then kind of follow their trajectory. Where did they start? So really deep dive onto that research aspect fairly early on, in order to kind of build that structured path for you that you want to take. And there's always going to be pivots, and be open to that. Have a very open mind to change, because I've experienced that a lot of times you get very fixated on something, and then you feel disappointed or frustrated that why things are not happening according to how you want. But life is a journey, and sometimes plans don't work out the way you want to work them. Like, there's only so much control, but you can always kind of chart your own path. So always be curious, ask those questions. When I was in high school, I went through that same train of being fed the cookie cutter information, but I chose to kind of, ask those tough questions and be very bold. And especially in today's day and age, you can be bold. We're not in a time and age where questions are discouraged, or young women cannot like step up to the platform. There's how do you you can go as far as you want to go. So ask those questions, maybe challenge your own self that, okay, I thought I wanted to do this, but I ventured into it. I don't like it. Can I pivot? How fast can I pivot? Where should I go? Where is my research now taking me? What does that path look like? Open your mind to the plethora of opportunities. You can like you said, Rhiannon, the construction industry as a whole is a very lucrative industry. There's a variety of career paths that can be taken within it. It supports all sorts of ambitions and directions. So a takeaway would be, that yes, you've got your foundational education, you appreciate it, obviously, but then don't be afraid to think outside the box.
Absolutely. And I find when people realize just how many different types of careers are available in the industry, it becomes more prevalent that, oh, there is something for everybody.
Exactly.
Technically I work in construction, right? Do I work with a hammer? No, you don't want me to do that, I promise you. But I do, I get to go on site. I get to work with, skilled tradespersons and others in, engineering pathways and things like that. And there truly is something for everybody. And in terms of our results for, in terms of high school and how often people hear about careers in the trades as these sorts of, lucrative career pathways, the most common is 1 to 5 times. So that's awesome. I'm glad it's not zero, right? Nobody picked zero. So that's what I like to hear. And then sort of 5 to 10 and then 10 plus are neck and neck. But I think it's really good to hear that you're hearing about these career options in the trades. And if you have questions, speaking of questions, which I may or may not have forgotten to tell you about, we do have a Q&A section here as well. So to the right of the viewing window, there's a chat and a Q&A section. So please feel free to use the chat appropriately. Ask any questions, and I'm monitoring it on the other screen here. So we really want to involve you in the conversation as well. So please feel free. Moving on to our next question, and I'm going to start with Ananya. What skills or qualities do you think make someone successful in the construction industry today?
Wow, that's a loaded one, isn't it?
Absolutely.
um, I would start off by saying that you need to have passion for your own career, like having that mindset. Construction is a complicated industry. It works as a well-oiled machine. Everything is planned, everything is monitored, everything is measured. So it's very structured in that approach, and that's why the industry appreciates individuals who have a very structured approach um, to their professional careers and in life in general. But also, it prefers, or rather rewards, innovation. So think, again, challenging the norm. Is there better ways of doing things? Are we curious about moving away from the status quo and really stepping up with digital innovation, accessing tools, with AI? How are we constantly innovating ourselves as well? How are we leveling up in our skill sets? How are we expanding our horizons in order to effectively take construction as an industry to the next level? One of the things, this is probably a very young demographic here at this webinar. You're always on your phones, you're always accessing digital networks, there's a new social media app being built every day. Find out how you can leverage it to the best of its capabilities. Or if you're watching a lot of videos, then maybe tailor your algorithm that brings towards content that is educative, informative, and opens your eyes to other avenues, because a lot of young people are moving towards more digital sources of information. So it would make sense for you to already leverage the tools that you spend a lot of time on. So I'm talking about Instagram, I'm talking about your TikTok, I'm talking about Facebook, Reddit. Reddit is another upcoming platform where a lot of people share their thoughts and experiences about everything and everything under the umbrella. So reach out for forums where young superstars like Blessed are sharing their experiences about how they pivoted from high school and what excited them about a career in the skilled trades. So leverage the tools that you have. Be curious about innovation and development within the industry. I think that's what keeps moving construction forward and into the field of advancement. So when it comes to the skills and opportunities, be always ready to level up. mediocrity is not tolerated in construction. Stability is a good thing, but stability comes with constant advancement. As we all know, like the markets are constantly changing. There's a lot of volatility. There's a lot of moving components. So how do you keep yourself relevant? So really important to focus on that.
That's amazing. That's really, really solid advice. And I also feel like because again with the demographic and all of these tech is so big, right? And it's so important and it's amazing. And I have nothing against, with the advancements of technology also come with a shift in how a lot of companies, not just construction, perform their tasks, right? So staying relevant in that sense is definitely extremely important. And I think also being very mindful of, the need to build green, right?
Yes.
Construction waste is huge. You think about just demoing one building, right? How much waste comes from that, right? So, um, I'm very proud that Tridel is the principal and founding sponsor of the Bolt Charitable Foundation and is consistently winning these sort of Green Builder Awards, right? Because they are very, very focused on building green, right? We want to protect our environment. There's a whole department dedicated to, these innovations in building green. So staying relevant and prevalent in your industry and, upskilling along the way. Blessed, what are your thoughts on skills for construction?
I completely agree with what you both have to say. Um, for me, in construction, being able to solve problems and adapt is important because things don't always go as planned. And being good at communication and teamwork is key to keeping projects running smoothly, as well as staying resilient and open to learning as mistakes constantly happen. It's just a part of life and growing. And being able to be reliable and focused on safety also makes you a trusted team member. And if you always show up on time, be prepared, and prioritize safety, then I feel like personally that is the best for continuing to be successful.
Blessed, you hit the nail on the head with that. It's so incredible to know that when you're first getting started in an apprenticeship and all you need to do is show up, right? Show up, be reliable, be consistent, be positive, be all of these, we call them soft skills, right? Because you can learn these skills, right? And if you show up with these, you are already one step ahead of some people, right? The whole point of an apprenticeship is to learn, right? So you go to your first day and you don't know anything yet. That's okay. That's the point, right? You get to work with somebody who knows something and will teach you, right? So these soft skills are incredibly important. And if you leave here with anything today, in any job, no matter where you are, show up, be positive, be a team player, be a reliable person, be someone that people want to work with, right? And you'll go far. I promise you, you'll go far. So I'm going to ask one final question and then I'm going to check the Q&A. Blessed, I'm going to start with you. If you could give one piece of advice to young women considering a future in construction, what would it be?
For me, I would say that there is always room for people who work hard and stay curious and keep learning. Look for opportunities like internships and mentorships to gain experience and surround yourself with supportive people. Mistakes are normal, but persistence will help you succeed. And you might feel like you have to prove yourself more or work a little harder to show that you belong. But over time, I've learned that it just comes from confidence and preparation and effort. When you show up on time, you work hard, you ask questions, and you take safety seriously, your work speaks for yourself. And I myself have been lucky to connect with programs and mentors who support women in the trades. And throughout my research and leadership experiences in high school, I learned about the barriers women, especially Black women in construction, face. And that made me personally more aware and also motivated me. Instead of feeling discouraged, I see it as an opportunity to open doors for others.
That's beautiful. So well said. And I really hope that, that the students and other folks on the call today really hear that, right? Like one thing that stood out to me that you just said was like that persistence will make you succeed, right? Like it's so true. Persistence, don't give up, advocate, like such solid advice. Thank you, Blessed. And Anya, what's your advice?
Well, before I get to that, I want to make a comment here. I am so inspired by Blessed because at such a young age, not only has she achieved some milestones in her career, but she is so well spoken about it. It's very, very inspirational because, to kind of pick up that level of communication to really um, expand on your thoughts in such a passionate manner is very inspiring, Blessed. And I'm sure there's going to be a lot of takeaways for both men and women on from this call. So congratulations on that.
Thank you.
Um, from my end, I would like to emphasize on the word confidence. The one takeaway, yes, we're talking about International Women's Day. There are barriers to women in careers, but as we've shared as a panel here, you advocate for yourself, you do a really good job, you take pride in your work, you take pride in yourself with constantly challenging yourself and constantly improving yourself. You are going to get to a level of expertise that is going to be unmatched, and that's going to open doors for you that you may or may not have planned. But in this entire journey, it builds a lot of self-confidence that a lot of young men and women are struggling with in today's day and age, with all the influence we have with the digital avenues. There's constant comparisons. One must not forget the value they bring to the table. And that becomes solid once you really cement your confidence in yourself and your abilities. And that confidence comes through that relentless pursuit of excellence in what you want to do, whether it's professionally or it's personally. Be relentless about it. Be resilient to challenges. When somebody asks me in conversations, I've been through several positions, and from my conversations, one thing that always draws me back is that I've been very resilient. There's been ups and downs, but that resiliency has got me through the highs and lows of my career. And that's what I constantly preach to young people. Don't give up. Like Rhiannon said, show up day in after day. If you want to compare yourself to anybody, compare yourself to yourself from yesterday or from a week ago or from a month ago. That is a more accurate measure of your success versus comparing yourself to somebody else who is not going through your same journey. You are your biggest competition, and you are the only person who's capable to build your own self-confidence. And that is going to take you far in your journey.
I love that. So compare yourself to who you were yesterday or a week ago. And wow, that was really, really, really well said. And I think that that is really, really solid advice, right? You don't want to compare yourself to other people,
No,
right? You are your own person. You are going through your own life, your own path. So compare yourself to you.
you those are your benchmarks.
Yeah.
See how far you've come and give yourself grace, because society is constantly pitching us against one another. That's an evil in society that we have to constantly deal with.
Mhm.
But somebody else is not your competition. See how far you've come a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And then when you get to that point, you can look back and be like, wow, yes, I had some lessons along the way, but see how far I've come. And wow, I've got such a long journey ahead of me. I have milestones to achieve. I have skills to learn. I have a community to build. I have relationships to nurture. Then the mindset shifts. One thing we follow at our company through our coaching lessons is a quote that resonates throughout our company here at Metro Compactor Services. When you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. You have to keep saying that a few times before it settles in, but it's essentially like you can look at something as an opportunity or as an abyss or as a failure, but the moment you shift your perspective on it, your attitude changes, your confidence changes, everything, like it shifts, your mindset changes. So if you want to compete, if you want to grow, compete with yourself. Be better than you were yesterday. And that's going to speak volumes for you in whichever rooms you walk in. That's going to radiate your aura and your energy. And that's going to move the needle on your professional journey from 15 years old, 14 years old, to all the way to 65 or 70 or later.
Amazing. I challenge everybody to go home this evening and close your door, be alone, roll your shoulders back and stand tall, and think about who you were yesterday and a week ago or 5 years ago, and see what your journey's been, where you want your journey to go. It's a moment of reflection. It's a moment of confidence building, right? Because it doesn't matter if 5 years ago you perceived life to have been better, you've learned something in 5 years, right? So reflect, take it in, and be grateful for the journey that you're on, and give to the next generation of folks that are like ready to receive it, right? I'm gonna poll the audience one more time, and then while we wait for the results, we'll head over to the Q&A. But for polling, I would like to ask everybody, given everything you just learned today, would you now consider the trades as a viable career option? So I'm going to give everybody a moment to do that. And I'm going to go over to our chat here. So I apologize for my head turning. I'm looking at my other screen. And okay, our first question, if you were not in the trade right now, which other trade would you have chosen? So maybe, Blessed, I'm going to start with you. So you're electrical. This is the trade you chose.
Yes.
Which other trade would you have considered?
I would have considered carpentry. While doing step to construction, that was my second option. Um, Going in without knowing anything about the trades, my initial thought was to do bricklaying, which is a complete different like ball game. And the more you like learn about it, maybe that would be good for you. But for me, I'm more somebody who likes to work on like, I don't know, like I like to build the infrastructure, seeing the insides instead of building the outsides of a house personally for me. So I would have chose carpentry. I was able to build benches, stools, tables, and that kind of piqued my interest. But electrical overall is for me.
Awesome. And Anya, what about you?
I do not have deep expertise, but from industry whispers and the way things are moving, I think getting into carpentry is definitely a very good option. I would support that because, like, we saw that a lot on our heavy industrial projects up north as well. Um, but another skill, like being a certified electrician, even in our current projects, is something very, very lucrative. But there are certain projects that people won't touch until there is a certified electrician. That is an industry standard, which is extremely important for some high tier projects.
Awesome. If I was going to do anything, I would be a millwright. And for those of you who don't know what a millwright is essentially somebody who fixes sort of the machines, right? The commercial equipment and things like that. Do I have the knowledge or skill for that? 100% no. But there is definitely really, really, really good programs out there. And I know it's one of those careers that are in demand, right?
Yes.
So if you're considering if that's something you're interested in and you're like, oh, like I'm good at fixing stuff and I'm handy, I encourage you to, do a little bit of research on what a millwright is and if that speaks to you in any way. I think I'd be really bad at it, so hence why I'm speaking with you all today from a very administrative standpoint. Um, so our next question was if the panel's been recorded, and yes, it's been recorded. It'll be live at boltonline.org. I'll have it posted there, and it'll be available. It'll be up there for at least a year until the next one, and then I'll replace it. And the next one is a little bit more so applied for IBW's trade readiness program. So maybe Blessed, you might have a little bit more insight on this. For network cabling specialist, still waiting for response. Do I need to show up there to communicate further? What was your experience?
Can you rephrase the question?
Yeah, so if somebody applied for the IBW's trade readiness program,
Okay.
they're still waiting on a response. Is there somebody specific they can follow up with or?
I would say email whoever gave you the contact for that. I wouldn't say show up. Everything is handled online, so even if you were to go in person, the people that you would speak with wouldn't have that type of information for you. So my best bet is just to continuously email them every once in a while, just give them a follow up. But that's what I had to do to get the information that I needed.
Awesome. Thank you. Normally, I don't love to post things and put people on the spot like that, especially when it comes to specific programs. But considering that you're so new out of it, I was like, oh, she probably has the answer to this question, so I'm gonna ask anyway. Like, so thank you to everybody who submitted questions. We're running out of time, so I'm gonna have to stop there. If there was any other questions that you really, really need answered, please feel free to send an email, bolt@tridel.com. And if you forget that, boltonline.org, you'll find our contact info. Based on your question, I can send it over to either of our panelists here, and they'd be more than happy to answer your question. But the results of our poll, everybody said yes. They would consider the trades as a viable career option.
That
So
means this webinar is a success.
right? I was just going to say, I think we did our job well today.
Yes.
And and what I'm hoping that you all took from this is that the trades are great. And, to full transparency, there is a slowdown in the trades right now, right? Especially in residential construction. But one thing that I've learned in my years in this industry is that construction is very cyclical, right? So at
Yes.
one time you're going to have a slowdown and that's going to turn into a boom, right? So keep at it, stay relevant, stay excited, and just know that it will be your turn. You will be successful in your career path. I would like to close by thanking all of you today for joining. Thank you so much to our panelists for your honesty, your stories, and the energy you brought to this conversation. Each of you has shown us that construction isn't just about buildings. It's about confidence, creativity, collaboration, and the courage to step into spaces where change is still happening. Today, we learned there's no single path into the industry. Some of you discovered your passion early. Others stumbled into it unexpectedly. I didn't tell you my journey, but holy moly, mine was twists and turns. All of you kept going because someone gave you support, a chance, or a voice. That is the heart of this year's International Women's Day theme, Give to Gain. Giving creates opportunity, giving builds confidence in ourselves and in others. And when we give our time, our encouragement, our curiosity, and our skills, we gain something even more powerful: connection, growth, and community. To the students here, you are the next generation of creators and problem solvers. Whether you see yourself in construction, engineering, design, leadership, or something entirely different, I hope today showed you that you belong anywhere talent, passion, and hard work are needed, including industries where people might not expect you. Thank you again to our speakers for leading the way. Thank you to our students for listening, engaging, being open to learning something new, and for participating in the poll. And thank you to everyone who helped bring this panel to life. Let's keep lifting each other up, giving back, and building a future where everyone has room to succeed. Happy International Women's Day.
Happy International Women's Day, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you,
Thank you.
everyone.